How's it going? Oh my god! A gorgeous, majestic green iguana just jumped onto the tree right outside my window. Today, I'm gonna get ready and you're gonna watch me. And we're gonna talk about some stuff. I feel like I can't see anything because I'm not wearing my glasses. But anyway, I'm literally just chilling on my bed. You may have noticed I'm like switching up my filming locations. I did move houses. I don't know, I'm not really sure if I mentioned that in a video before, but I basically came back from school to a brand new house, and so I'm just, as my room is slowly coming together, I literally didn't have a bed like a week ago. I am figuring out where the best place to film is, and I'm trying to decide how I like this as a backdrop. But we're just gonna chill today, and we're gonna use some makeup. I'm gonna put on some music like I always do, and I don't really know what I'm gonna do today. Most of my makeup is packed in a box, and I don't know which box, so I went hunting in my garage today to see if I could find it, but I could not. So I'm kind of just stuck with the makeup that I've been using that I brought to school with me, and that's kind of getting boring. I don't want to do another red eye look, but here I am with the ABH Modern Renaissance palette. So, sorry about that. Let's get started. I wanted to talk about a few things today, not the least of which is Kat Von D mini scandal. Kat Von D has always been like kind of a fuck you controversial figure, but I figured as I'm pretty much always using Kat Von D beauty products in my videos, and I have so much of her makeup, and I've been watching her since I was like a child on LA Ink. Like I never really like idolized her, but you know, I thought she was a cool person, and I just figured I should talk about it. So, forgot to do my skincare routine. I mentioned in a previous video I was hoping like being away from school would clear up my skin, and it has, but also I just like adopted like a really simple skincare routine that's really working for me right now. I don't want to jinx it. Every time I say my skin is clearing up, it breaks out, and I already feel it's gonna break out again, but I may or may not make a video about it at some point. I'm really trying hard to like, I don't know why I'm in such a bad way. I am just like not a good waking up person at all. Like some people are really good at waking up. I'm not. I'm really cranky. And maybe once I eat. Are there like summer blues? Is that a thing? I feel like that's a thing. I might just be making it up, but I feel like that's what's been going on. So should we just get into it? Should we just go ahead and like go for it? Because it's important. It's not, to me, this is not about celebrity gossip or jumping on a scandal or anything like that. It's just, it's important. Like I said, I've never idolized Kat Von D. I thought she was a cool person, but she has been controversial in the past, and she just doesn't strike me as a person who like just cares about the impact of her words or her actions or the things that she's doing. I think she just really doesn't care, and she's made that clear. She made that clear in her post that she doesn't care what people think of her life choices, which on the one hand, great, do you, but on the other hand, it's like you have a lot of young people that look up to you. It's not your responsibility to tell them how to live their life or anything like that, but the things you do affect the people who are watching, whether you like that or not. So let me take off these socks. Long story short, Kat Von D said, hey, guess what, bitches? I'm not gonna vaccinate my kids, and fuck you if you try to tell me otherwise. I'm not gonna listen to anybody. I'm doing my own research. I'm not gonna let anybody tell me how to like raise my child. Okay, fair enough. However, I feel like I'm just gonna like get off track talking and not even do my makeup. However, this doesn't affect just your child unless you plan on raising him in quarantine or in a tower like Rapunzel. This affects the people around you, and it's just frustrating. It's frustrating that we're in 2018 and people, and usually these people are more privileged, they're more out of touch with the way the rest of society lives. They just choose not to understand the importance of vaccines. On the one hand, I understand being skeptical of big pharma being skeptical of the way capitalism affects medicine, and I know some people do have adverse effects to vaccines, but people have adverse effects to all kinds of medicine. Personally, I started to receive the HPV vaccine, Gardasil, when I was like 13 or 14. I don't remember how old I was. It just made me very nauseous and dizzy, and it was a really scary experience. So my parents and I decided that we would not continue with the other 2 administrations of the vaccine. And I know that a lot of other people have really bad side effects to Gardasil. That's one thing. When we're talking about very basic vaccines administered to children to prevent very preventable diseases that do not need to be breaking out because this is not the 18th century anymore, then it's not a matter of personal opinion anymore, and it's not a matter of me choosing to live my life the way I want to. I have seen a few videos about it already. I do see a lot of like maybe smaller prominent YouTubers and influencers talking about it. There are a lot of people just blindly supporting her, I feel like. This is not even to mention all of the other scandals, which we can get into in a bit. Kat Von D is not by any means a perfect person, or a person that you need to be guiding your life by, except for maybe like her style. And I understand vaccines are not vegan. However, when we're talking about the well-being of your child and the well-being of other children, because your decision not to vaccinate your child doesn't just affect your child, it affects the children that he interacts with and who may not be able to get vaccinated, or even adults, other people who are immunocompromised, who are not able to get vaccinated. You're putting those people at risk. And the reason that vaccinations work, and the reason why privileged people like Kat Von D are able to get away with not vaccinating their children, is because of herd immunity. But if a lot of people stop vaccinating their children, then that herd immunity is not there, and it doesn't protect those immunocompromised people. This is very serious, especially for young children and for infants. And I was actually just reading the other day, and I will find the source of this statistic because I don't believe in just putting things out there without a source. A vast majority of pediatric deaths are due to lack of vaccination. And it's so sad because, and I think the number was it was 80%. That's so sad to me because it's just not necessary. I'm gonna do like a wash of red under my eye. I'm gonna use Love Letter from the Modern Renaissance palette. And I'm a big fan of conspiracy theories, believe me. Vaccines aren't a conspiracy. They are science. And it's irresponsible as a public figure to put that dangerous message out there. And I'm glad that a lot of people are able to see that and call her out on it and say, hey, like, this isn't cool. And what you're saying is just false. It's just fake science. It's pseudoscience. And she says that she's doing her research about this, but I understand wanting to live a holistic lifestyle. I understand wanting to, you know, to live like a natural, vegan, organic, homegrown lifestyle. I understand that. But when it comes to vaccines, you don't play around with that. It's just a lot of alarmism that has been passed around. It's based on fear. And let's talk about the fact that it's also based on this fear, this completely unfounded fear, that I'm just covering my eye bags with this red eyeshadow right now, like just really going for it. It's based on this unfounded fear that vaccines cause autism, which they do not. Vaccines do not cause autism. But even if they did, I just feel like it's disgusting to be so afraid of having an autistic child that you would put their health and the health of other children at risk. I don't know about you, but having a child with autism is not the end of the world to me. Having a child die would be. I don't plan on having children personally, and things like this, and just the world that we live in today, the America that we live in today, doesn't inspire me to want to have children. I can only imagine how devastating it must be to lose a child. That being said, am I gonna go out of my way to stop using her products? Maybe I won't like flaunt them so much on camera anymore. I won't be like, hey, check this Kat Von D shit out. I'll use it and I won't say much about it. I don't think this is like a lime crime level thing where I'm just like morally opposed to to using that person's products, I'm sorry, Catherine, you're an idiot. I think you're a genius in a lot of other ways. You're a genius artist. You're a genius musician. You're a genius when it comes to decor and fashion, but I don't think that means that you have common sense. As a privileged, rich celebrity, you do live in a bubble, whether you like that or not. And your worldview, I can imagine, just becomes warped. That doesn't excuse it though. When you have educated people, healthcare professionals, these are not big pharmaceutical company CEOs coming at you. These are educated science majors, PhD students, doctors, nurses, telling you that you're uninformed, that you're uneducated, and that you're wrong, and you're deleting their comments, you're telling them to shut the fuck up pretty much. You can't live your life like that. I mean, I guess you can. You can just shut down any opposing opinions and just, you know, choose to like put your hands over your ears and go la 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 and act like the facts aren't the facts, but they are, and you're damaging people. As a person, she doesn't receive my support, especially not on this matter. Am I gonna block her on everything and throw out all her products? Probably not. And that's another thing too. I am a believer in putting your money in companies that you believe in, headed by people that you believe in. The major response to things like this, I'm gonna throw all of my makeup products from this company in the toilet and flush them and record a video of me setting the Jeffree Star, Lime Crime, whatever palette on fire. That's privilege too. And I mean, owning makeup at all is a privilege in a sense, but this is money that I don't really have a lot of. And when I do purchase makeup, it's not something that I do frivolously. I do have a lot of makeup, but it's been acquired over a long period of time, and I cherish it. So for me to say like I'm just gonna throw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of makeup down the toilet, it doesn't make sense to me. It's wasteful. It's wasteful. So that's always been kind of a silly response to me. So no, I'm gonna be keeping my shit. Like, I'm not gonna apologize for it either. I guess something else to talk about is the reason people canceled Kat Von D a long time before this. This is just the latest in a string of controversies that just seem to get swept under the radar. And she always seems to respond in the same way when she's called out, which I find personally to be kind of immature, because I just feel like she just doesn't recognize the importance of her place as a public figure, which whether you like it or not, and I've heard plenty of celebrities say, hey, it's not my job to be a role model, I didn't sign up for this, but in no way you did. When you sign up to be in the public eye, you sign up to be scrutinized, you sign up to have your actions questioned. And rightly so, because as a public figure, your actions carry a lot more weight and a lot more responsibility, and you have to accept that. And to stick your head in the ground and act like your actions don't affect anybody is immature to me. She had a controversy regarding her lipsticks, a couple of which didn't have like the nicest names. One of them, which she hasn't changed or pulled, but is still kind of creepy, still kind of cringy to me. Even though I own the lipstick, and it's honestly, it was my first liquid lipstick. It was my first Kat Von D lipstick that I owned. It's called Underage Red, which I assume is supposed to refer to like just an underage individual wearing this red shade of lipstick to appear more mature. And I assume that it's a reference to, you know, like concert culture and like the 80s and like groupie culture and stuff like that, which is really alarming to me because that was a huge thing. Young girls were integrating themselves into a groupie lifestyle and being preyed upon by rock stars like David Bowie, which that's a whole other conversation. Rock stars who didn't really care that these were like 14, 15-year-old girls. So that's a serious issue to me. It wasn't a serious issue to her, and she was kind of just like, it's, you know, it's just a reference, it's no big deal. Another one of her lipsticks was named Celebutard, which was a really long time ago. It was one of her original lipsticks, Study Kiss lipsticks. And she did eventually pull it, but her response was the same, like, you guys are taking it too seriously, stop getting so offended, you pussies, like that kind of thing. Which is really funny to me because I feel like that moniker could apply to her and the way that she's been acting. Just celebrities that don't think, and maybe called like a ableist slur that I don't feel like repeating. But you can connect the dots, and I'm gonna finish chewing because I know I don't like to hear chewing noises on videos, so I'm not gonna put that in my videos. what else happened with her? Okay, so there's these allegations that have been floating around the internet forever that she's an anti-Semite, that is based on this whole drama that happened with Ami James while she was on Miami Ink, in which she allegedly sent him a photo of herself signed by her that says like all kinds of heinous things and has a swastika on it. That's unsubstantiated completely. I find that kind of convenient. As shameless as she is, and I would never excuse that behavior if I felt like it was credible, but we're talking about a reality show here, and it was probably just drummed up drama to just increase the tension between Ami and Kat, who had an awful relationship off and on screen, but the drama obviously is trumped up, like in all reality shows. So it just seems kind of convenient to me that she would send a picture of herself with her name signed to it and incriminate herself that way. Also, like, we've seen her handwriting plenty. It doesn't look like her handwriting to me. It looks like a facsimile of her handwriting, but it doesn't look convincing enough to me. And I know, like, handwriting analysis is not even that, like, reliable, but what am I even doing next? I think I'm gonna do my eyebrows. I don't find that particular claim to hold that much water. I still find it troubling. It just doesn't seem to me like a genuine, actual thing that occurred. What did occur, however, is her dating and almost marrying Jesse James, a neo-Nazi. But I find it interesting that people condemn her for that, but they don't condemn Sandra Bullock, for example, for being married to him. I mean, I find both of them questionable for dating and marrying such an individual, but to be honest, I was dating a person for a really long time, and granted, I was a child, so it's a little bit different when you're an adult and a public figure, whose beliefs and attitudes I didn't really subscribe to or agree with and found myself constantly frustrated by. But I wasn't responsible for them. So while I do find that extremely troubling that she would date and almost marry a neo-Nazi, she's dated and almost married a lot of questionable people, and I think that just speaks to like her as a like serial monogamous and someone who jumps into relationships head first without much thought, which is just further compounded by her recent marriage to the guy from Prayers. After dating for like really not that long. That's fine, like literally do what you want, marry who you want, great, but she's just had like a long string of relationships with questionable people. Yeah, like, okay, that might make her a dumbass, but it doesn't make her a bad person. I think what makes her what you could call a bad person, which I'm hesitant to call anyone a bad person, and especially to cancel people for doing shitty things, because we're all capable of growth and we're all capable of doing things that are not in line with our beliefs, and we're all capable of doing things that we regret and that we look back on and say, wow, I really wish I hadn't done that. So I'm very hesitant to jump on this canceling culture of immediately, especially like digging things out of the past from like 10-15 years ago and saying this person is a shitty person and they should go to hell. It's honestly kind of toxic, and I feel like, what am I even doing? This literally does not in any way mean that I endorse her behavior. I've been doing my eyebrows with eyeliner. I'm pretty sure I did that in a video previously. It's just easier. I'm sorry I can't like talk and make up at the same time. People are people, and keeping in mind what I said about public figures needing to be aware of the weight of their actions and their words. On the flip side, imagine how much pressure that is and how mind-crushing and confusing it must be to have your every move just constantly analyzed. Any little misstep making you a bad person. That's terrifying. I can't imagine that kind of responsibility. I'm sure you probably can't. So I think that we need to like just be a little bit more mindful about like how we as anonymous human beings judge and condemn people with so much exposure and attention turned on them. I don't think that means we need to excuse anyone's actions. We need to just stop idolizing these people anyway. And my eyebrow is coming out squiggly like that Instagram trend, but like not on purpose. So I think that's where we fail as anonymous human beings, observing these public figures. They are not gods, and we need to stop placing them on these pedestals so that when they step one little bit out of line, we can immediately knock them down. Like, how sick is that? While I'm upset about, and I think it's extremely stupid, and I wish that she would recognize like how many people she's affected by her words. As I said in the beginning of my video, she's always been problematic. This doesn't come as that much of a surprise to me. Why am I using this eyeliner? By the way, after I bitched about the Kat Von D tattoo liner, and I got the perversion liner, and then I bitched about that too, I got the NYX Epic Ink Liner, and it's actually kind of working for me. I would just recommend like setting it with a black eyeshadow, because if you have oily eyelids like I do, it kind of gets a little bit like sticky and like sticks to your eyelids and stuff like that. So I completely lost my train of thought. But those are my thoughts on that. If we stopped placing dumbass celebrities on these pedestals in the first place, then they wouldn't disappoint us so much when they inevitably fail, because they're human beings just like us. And I know I fail. Whether you want to admit it or not, you fail. We all fail as people. We just don't have the enormous pressure of having those failures broadcasted to the entire world. This should just be a lesson. Just be mindful of who you choose to consume. And I don't mean that in a cannibalistic way. Just who we decide to idolize. I don't think anyone deserves that kind of lionization. We turn these people into gods, and they're not. Except for Jeff Goldblum, who's immortal and perfect. But other than that, nobody should be placed in this like otherworldly category of godlike human being. It's just, it's silly to me. Be a fan of whoever you want to be a fan of, but at the end of the day, realize that they're probably going to disappoint you. And I think that we've seen in this era where everyone is a headline at some point, everyone is going to that sounds so cynical, wow. Everyone is going to disappoint you. That sounds really, really sad and depressing, but it's I feel like it's true. Just like have realistic expectations of people who have like unrealistic, larger than life personas. Just try to keep it in perspective. These are not gods. And this is probably a really long video for like what is really, really, really simple makeup. I'm not even going to do face makeup because I don't really care that much. And to be honest with you, like my day-to-day, I don't really do that much face makeup. I might like cover up this pimple, but that's about it. Leave me your feedback on this situation below, what you think. If you think beauty YouTubers and influencers have a responsibility to condemn this behavior because they're public figures in their own right, maybe on a smaller scale, but especially influencers that interact with her and are friends with her. Like her friends kind of just applaud everything that she does without question. That's a little frightening to me. I think that friends should be able to be honest with one another and call each other out without breaking that friendship. No shade. Let me know what you think. Just a couple things that I wanted to mention before I end this video. I do have not one but 2 lookbooks coming very soon. I decided to split my original up into 2 so that I can just showcase the outfits more. I'm also going on a trip to Georgia, so keep an eye out for a vlog about that. And I will also, depending on like if I can get a setup figured out, be starting a Twitch stream soon. So if you're interested in seeing that kind of thing, probably be playing a lot of Kingdom Hearts and other things, but keep an eye out for that too. And also thank you to my friend and subscriber and fellow YouTuber Alejandro, who suggested that I do this in the first place, because it's a really fun idea. If you're not subscribed and you enjoyed my little rant about Catherine Von Trachtenberg or whatever the fuck, go ahead and subscribe. That'd be so... That's about it for today, folks. I'm gonna go trim my toe hair now. Thank you for watching and listening and hanging out with me. I will see you next time. Words.